Welcome to the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. I'm your host, Jacob Cooper, best-selling author of Life After Breath and the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. For those of you who are new to my podcast, please help out a growing community and consider hitting that subscribe button, as well as sharing your comments within the comments section. For those who have been here before, welcome back. Let's continue to ascend. You could also follow us on mindbodyspirit.fm. Today's guest on the Wisdom Jacob's Ladder is Pauline Raphaela. Pauline is a fellow author, healer, and powerful intuitive. She's going to be sharing a lot of her own personal journey of inner transformation that has really been going on for several decades now. And she's going to be sharing a lot of insights, particularly as we're heading into the holiday times and New Year's from the upper etherical realms. So, without further ado, we bring on the healer extraordinaire, Pauline Raphaela. Pauline Raphaela, thank you so much for being here as my guest in the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder. So good to have you.
Jacob, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be able to sit in this space with you.
Yeah, Pauline, for personal disclosures, I went to Pauline for a healing last week that was very transformative, and we'll definitely get into that. But you, my friend, I know we're, Long Island neighbors over here, but you've been really exploding on the circuit and really making a lot of impact and rounds. But you've been doing this for quite some time. For viewers who maybe are living under a rock who haven't heard of Pauline Raphaela, could you share with us a little bit about the work that you're doing and how that came into being? Because it's a fascinating story, and it's even led to a beautiful book, the little blue room over here, which we'll get into. But there's a story beyond the story, I'm sure. So take us through.
So, I was divinely guided. I had a plan for my life, and my plan was to become a human resource director, maybe a global recruiter, something along that way.
Huh.
And I had worked very much toward that. And I was completely rerouted by a divine presence, okay, to start doing energy work, healing work. And I remember at the time thinking, "What? Like, what is this? Why would I be guided to do something like that?" And the reason was because I'm gonna backtrack before that now. In the late 1980s, I mean, I had experienced several crises in my life. I was going through some health issues that the medical community could not help me with. They couldn't find anything really seriously wrong with me, but I had numerous health conditions. Chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic bronchitis. I couldn't gain weight. Everything was off. I was grieving terribly from the several crises that I had been through. And miraculously, I found an energy healer and I started going to her. This is 1993, before anybody even knew about what this was.
Hmm.
And I went to her and she healed me. And it was a real eye opener and an awakening between the mind, body, soul connection. The energy patterns, the thought patterns, the behavioral patterns that we carry with us that we need to address. The hurt, the anger, the insecurities that we've brought forth from childhood, from all time, that have gone unaddressed. There comes a point when it's like, you know, it just pops open and it's time to deal with it. And it was my time to deal with it in 1993. And so I began dealing with it. And it was in 1998 that I received that inspiration from universe, God, that said, "Okay, time to quit your job and you're going to become a healer." And I thought, "What?" But this is how it happened for me. It was strictly divinely guided.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's something about 1993 because that's when 3-year-old Jacob had his near-death experience and Pauline had her spiritual awakening, so we'll have to check out a little bit about the astrology of 1993 and just the energies. You know, for me, mine was in September of 1993, but that's a very powerful year for the 2 of us. I know you mentioned, you're having a lot of physical symptoms,
Mhm.
went to a healer, and she was able to really open up your awareness as to what really was going on. Do you feel Western medicine misses out on what's happening? And from your experience, what really is the body about? Is it just strictly physical, or you really learn that the body's something else?
Yeah, well, the body keeps the score,
Mhm,
right? As we've learned over the years. And so while there is always physical healing that might be needed, many, if not almost all, of the physical symptoms are rooted in some imbalance or dysfunction in the mind, in the emotions, in the spirit. And then the physical body keeps the score of it. And then the physical body begins to show the symptoms of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
And so
I
for me, it was a lot of unresolved grief.
Unresolved grief.
For me, it was a tremendous amount of unresolved grief, yes, from the death of my father and a first divorce back in 1984. And so, we're so conditioned to just, okay, move forward, that's in the past, let it go. And we can do that mentally, but emotionally, we can't. You cannot think away emotions,
Mm,
okay? You can't. You can compartmentalize them. You can think yourself out of something, but that emotion is still there. And if it was a trauma, such as a death of a loved one, it's still lingering, and we need to go back and address it. And that was my case. I had to do it, and it was that awareness and the healing of that actually got me well.
mm,
It wasn't anything a medical doctor did. I had even gone to an infectious disease doctor who diagnosed and said, "You have certain low levels of B complex and magnesium, all of the stress vitamins that we need, right, to combat
mm,
everyday life." I was low in copper, and so, yes, I had injections of these minerals, and it helped, but it didn't cure.
mhm.
It
And I think the beautiful part is you were able to go directly to the source. Instead of kind of beating around the bush, you're able to go directly to it. Now you mentioned grief, and I know a lot of people, you know, p- especially during this holiday season, are experiencing this. You mentioned something profound, that grief is not just emotional, psychological, but from your experience personally and professionally, it's also physical. Two things. First thing, where do you generally find that grief, tends to manifest itself in the body? And number 2, for someone who is going through grief from someone who's worked in the field and has a stellar reputation such as yourself, could you give us maybe some tips from your own personal, professional journey that could help maybe move some of that energy held within the body?
Yes. Well, thank you for asking that because it is a time of year when many people do not feel happy and they a grief does surface or depression does surface.
Mm,
And where is it held? It's in the heart. It's really some people say to me, "Oh, I feel it in my head or my chest," or it's in the heart.
in the
Because
heart.
grief is a deep sorrow. It's a deep sadness. It's a deep loss, and usually of some type of love, whether it's an animal, a person, the loss of a job, the loss of a home. It attacks our heart. And when the heart center isn't open and it's closed or filled with grief, we do not feel well. We feel depressed, we can feel hurt, angry, and we need to open the heart. So grief is typically held in the heart, and a closed heart will not make you feel good. I don't care how intelligent you are. I don't care how well you manage your thinking and your thoughts. A closed heart you will not feel physically or emotionally well. Now, one of the things that people can do, and you can try to master this. Look, I'm going to right here is the heart chakra, right in the middle of the chest.
Right
Can you?
here. Yeah.
Yes, if you can see it.
Mhm.
There's a series of energy points that run right in between. If you I hope your viewers can see where I am. There is a series of energy points in here that you can just use your own finger and gently press and hold. This would be a form of acupressure. Okay,
Mhm.
beginning to hold and breathe and begin to open up these points, okay, that run all the way down, sort of almost to the breastbone. Okay, so up in here. All right, that would be one thing you can do. And breathe. Breathe into it and exhale out through the mouth. Sort of hold,
Mhm.
exhale out through the mouth. And if you do that for several minutes, you may begin to feel an opening. And you may have to master it or practice it in order to to uh, to get the energy to move. And the other thing I'll recommend, and I did this intuitively, no one showed me this. I took my left hand, I placed it directly over my heart, not in the center, but directly over my heart, which is slightly left.
Right here. Yeah.
Slightly left. You can feel where
Mhm.
your heart is because you can feel it beating, or even if you press into it, sometimes it feels a little tender. This side, the right side doesn't feel tender. The left side is where the heart is. That's where all the
Mhm.
emotion is. You take your left hand, you place it there. Okay.
Mhm.
Sometimes you put your right hand over it. Breathe into the heart. Just breathe in and imagine this beautiful rose color going into the heart, filling your heart, exhaling out the grief or the pain. And if you do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you truly relax into it, setting your intention to heal your broken heart, I set my intention to mend my broken heart. And you breathe into it, call to spirit, call to the angels, call in a higher source.
Mhm.
It will help. And if you
Mm.
do it daily, you will begin to feel some shift, a positive shift.
Wow. Wow. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Pauline. I so you believe, as Louise Hay say, that we could heal our own life. Is that correct?
Well, we absolutely can, and we do, because even the people that come to me who don't have the healing skill, right, which I have, I am powerless as an energy healer unless this person really wants to heal themselves, because it really is them healing themselves. I'm just being a vessel for certain frequencies to come through for them to receive.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
they're
You're a
really healed.
conduit. Yeah.
I'm the conduit, and yes, I'm a powerful one and I have some deep skill. But if someone really doesn't want to heal or is really attached to their condition because somehow there's some secondary gain from it, maybe they get attention from it, or they want to remain a victim, I can't heal that. They have to
Mhm.
choose that.
Mhm.
And then miracles can happen. And some people
Mhm.
do say on the surface, of course I want to heal. But there's that psychological subconscious, the subconscious and psychological pieces that may be resisting it for one reason or another.
Yeah. Wow. And you're someone who walks the talk because you really had a profound transformation where you were, as you said, you were on that corporate ladder, and all of a sudden you started to invite a different ladder into your life, a ladder of ascension and a ladder of healing others. For you and for others listening, how do people discern, let's just say, these nudges from maybe their own wishful thinking or just universal voice? Like, how did you discern your own voice versus this voice that you had, as you said, I believe in 1998, where you heard,
Right.
this voice kind of telling you to move into this new trajectory of your life.
Jacob, I love this question because it's rooted in the authenticity of who am I and why am I here? And so how do
Mhm,
we discern, right, what we're really supposed to be versus our ego mind saying, I want to do that?
mhm,
Well, when an inspiration comes to you from inside, or in my case, it was a voice I heard, okay, beyond my own consciousness, and I had had many mystical experiences prior to that. So I was becoming aware of my own mind versus a mind of a higher consciousness that I could not control. I couldn't
mhm,
change the directive. I couldn't change it even if I wanted to. That's one of the signs. So if an inspiration comes to you and you absolutely cannot change it by saying, no, maybe I don't want to do that. Okay, I'm empowered. I have free will. I want to do this. It just dissolves. It has no power.
mhm,
You can try to force it, but it won't work. Okay, that's number 1. You cannot change the voice of spirit, we'll call it, okay, that is guiding you. You can't change it. You can try, but you can't. The other way to know what is authentic and what isn't, and this is a lot I teach this more than anything. Something comes to you and you feel, "Oh my gosh, I should be doing this, right? I should become an artist. I should become a healer. I should become a channel. I should be." The best thing to do is say, "Let it go." Let it go. Say, "I don't know. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna surrender it. I'm
mhm,
going to let it go. I'm not gonna focus on it. I'm not going to try to force it, make it I'm gonna let it go." What comes back to you is authentic.
mhm,
So I developed this little system of letting it go and seeing if it came back to me, and that would tell me if it came back to me over and over and over again, it was spirit. If it
mhm,
was my ego, I could change it. Oh, no, maybe no, I don't know if I wanna do that. I think maybe I'll do that.
mhm.
That's ego.
Yep.
That's mind saying, "Oh, there could be so many different things that I wanna do," but what is authentic in the soul comes back to you the same every time. It doesn't change. Does that make any sense?
Yes, I mean, I think this is something that we've spoken about privately for, a bit of time, which is just this concept of surrender and its relationship to spirit, to navigating our life. Absolutely. And a lot of people have a hard time, really surrendering versus like enforcing or impeding their own will on situations. And I think you were really able to illustrate from your own personal journey for others listening how pivotal that is. Could you tell us a little bit more about the concept of surrender? Where do people maybe have it wrong? Maybe not wrong, but not as accurate from the spirit perspective. And what is the value of surrender when it comes to navigating the challenges or the roadmap of our everyday lives?
Yeah. So I truly love the way you speak and the way you ask. Really, it's beautifully done. Well, the concept of surrender, and I write about this in my book, chapter 7 is called The Great Surrender.
The
And
little blue room right
the
here.
little
Yep.
blue room, yeah, Awakening the Soul, Pauline Raphaela on Amazon. I talk about I give an example of something that I wanted versus what spirit was guiding me not to do, but to do something else.
Mhm,
It is not an easy concept. People say, "Oh, I surrender." And I'm like, "No, you really didn't surrender completely." Surrendering
mhm,
completely is truly giving up control and allowing something greater to guide you. And this is not easy because we do not live in a world that supports that. We live in a world that has conditioned us to take control, to take action. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything, right? You're not going to create anything. To control, potentially even manipulate, to get what you want, to make it and force it to happen. That's the world we live in. So now surrender is the complete opposite of that. It is completely surrendering your life over to, or an issue over to, a higher power, God, universe, spirit, and saying, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the higher answer is. And I'm going to surrender it all up. I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to allow the information and the guidance of how to move forward to come to me.
Mhm.
And when that happens, your life, and I write about this too, your life starts to be, it's like you're on a magic carpet. Okay, and you are
Mm.
being carried. You are being carried on this trajectory, and everything you need when you need it shows up. This requires a tremendous amount of trust in something unseen. How difficult is that? Okay, to trust something you cannot see. Uh,
Mm.
it really, for me, it was. Listen, I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom and I had nowhere to go. So what it didn't matter. And I surrendered my life up to God
Mm.
because I was trying to live my life the way we're supposed to live it. Nothing was working out. So I just threw my hands up and I said, I surrender. I give up. I don't care. And it was in that minute that spirit came in, and begins to guide you. It really is a deep surrender. But the beauty of it, as challenging as it is, the beauty of it is you truly are carried by a higher source.
Mhm.
And everything that you need and desire at the soul level is granted to you in divine timing, maybe not in your timing, okay? In divine timing. So this becomes a battle of the wills. The ego will, the divine will becomes a battle. You have to practice it, and you have to really learn to just keep surrendering and letting go and letting go. And the right thing and the higher thing, whatever that is, always shows up. I have never been abandoned by the universe since
Mm.
I surrendered so many decades ago.
Yeah, Pauline, I just had, my last episode was Neil Donald Walsh came back for the 3rd time on my podcast, and um, I think what's really interesting when I sit back is just the similar thread that people have in their lives, or maybe they're from different cultures, ages, time frames, journeys, but they all have something similar in these moments of, you call that the dark night of the soul, or just this point. I mean, even the Buddha, for instance, had this kind of point where he was at a crossroads with living this life that he didn't want to live, and climbing that material ladder, and almost kind of like material political kind of thing. And he just kind of left that world behind, and he had this other, spiritual kind of empire to help people to really navigate more to oneness. But what would you say is really about that moment where we are at this kind of 0 point and all of a sudden everything comes to people? How does that work? And is that essential for people to ascend, that they just have this kind of existential crisis, if you will?
I am familiar with Neil Donald Walsh's books. I read them when they first came out, and this was probably in the 1990s somewhere. I believe, I don't recall, but I remember him. I think almost being homeless, correct? And like,
Yes,
yes,
yes.
and saying to God, like, well, where are you? Where are you in my life? And so, do we need to have this existential crisis? I would like to say we don't need it, but apparently that's how it happens because we have such strong egos that we need an ego death. We need a humbleness. And the only way that seems to happen for us humans in this very dense third dimensional world that we live in is through existential crisis. At least for those of us who are, I'm going to call us a little bit of the old timers. Maybe not so much for the newcomers, because maybe they're just more they're more aware, or they're programmed to ascend without tremendous existential crisis. But it seems that those of us that have really hit the rock bottom are the ones that truly get it. And so I would say to people, if you've hit rock bottom, the only place to go next is up. And if you
Hmm.
haven't, still practice the art of surrender and watch your life unfold. But you have to be patient, because it doesn't happen in your timing. God's timing is different.
Hmm.
So, and you have to understand the process of that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes when things are so comfortable, we don't question, our lives too. Would you say that's true? And much like you're talking about with grief and loss, or just, uh, crossroads of our lives, these are shake-up periods. Would you say so? Like, these are what I call shake up to wake up, where the foundation that you're on, you're recognizing is just not working, and it could cause you to hold on to that, or start to open up some broader questions about the nature of reality.
Absolutely. Because apparently, in this third dimension, we need the ego death. We need the contrast. We need the catalyst that's going to push us upward. When we're comfortable and we have no impetus, why change anything? Just keep living the way you're living, and let it be. But there's no impetus
Mhm,
to push you higher. So we need that contrast. And even you with your near death experience, the greater the contrast, the greater the ascension.
mhm. The greater the contrast, the greater this. I like that. It's been a minute since that's a good one. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because the
And
greater the
contrast is, yeah.
yeah, the greater the contrast, the greater the ego death. Okay? The greater the opening, right? The greater the dark night of the soul, the greater the greater descent into shadow, which then lends itself to the ascension into light.
Mhm. Yeah, beautiful. Now, Pauline, I mean, I saw you for a healing. It was tremendous. My question, when I was in your presence, I just felt like I was in the presence of someone who was really tapped in, was really in that flow state, was had all everything kind of working. My question for you, just out of curiosity for viewers, how do you keep your energy the way that it is? I'm sure there's not one thing, but for you, like a day in the life of Pauline Raphaela, what's a part of some of your own self-care energetic regimen that maybe you could, teach to the public? Because I think, energy is everything, it's very, Einstein-y, but for you, how do you keep your energy at such a high frequency?
Everything is energy. And so, because I surrendered my life to God, I didn't surrender a thing. I surrendered my entire life. I was like, I can't figure this out. I don't know how to do it. It's not working. So you figure it out and show me what to do. I took, to me, it was like the easy way out, right? You show me and I'll just follow along, because whatever I'm doing isn't really working well, or I didn't understand it. I truly believe that the surrender aspect, and knowing that my life is in the flow of the divine, keeps me there, or keeps me anchored into that frequency, that higher frequency, on a daily basis. That doesn't mean I don't get angry. It doesn't mean that I don't feel sad, but my ability to come back into the light, into the flow, happens like that. Because my mind has now been trained, and I have trained my mind to accept the higher principles. Okay? I am light. I am already a divine being. And I'm going to give you things beyond meditation and yoga and all the regular. I'm not talking. All of that is wonderful, but this is truly in control of your mind. Okay, with the understanding of who God created you to be, and when you can
Mm,
truly embody that and feel it, not just think it, feel it, you become it.
mhm,
And for years, I have been talking about the becoming. All right, the becoming. And this year in particular is more about the becoming, the embodiment of light, not just the knowing about it, not just the thinking. It is the truly the becoming of it, the elevation of your DNA and bringing light into the body, into the cells, awakening that higher DNA. That
mhm,
to me is the key because now it's coming from inside out, not up above coming down. It's actually beginning from the inside, and it does start with the heart. And so every
mm,
day I remind myself that that I am this divine being of light being guided by God, not by me, by God. And I've learned to love myself, which is a huge piece of the becoming,
mhm,
and accept my faults and my shadow, and wherever those faults and shadows show up, I deal with them. And so the light within me just gets stronger and stronger to the point of being able to radiate it. That's how I stay in that. Now, it's taken me 35 years. Okay. This did not happen over 2 years. This has taken me a long
mhm,
time to be able to stay in that light. You have to deal with your fears. You've got to get rid of all your fears. Okay? If your fears creep in, you gotta deal with it and release it. When the deeper human fears are healed and you completely entrust in this source energy, this God energy, you become a different person. And that's how I did it. Now I know that's very abstract. I know that's very profound and out there. It isn't a simple thing like, okay, meditate every day at 4 o'clock and do yoga and do your affirmations. All of those are important things. But it's truly a deeper journey into
mhm,
self, into soul.
mhm. Would you say that fear is contrast with love? I know there's some people who push back on that, but would you say those 2 are contrasting elements and that God is love and fear is that pathway or that energy that maybe causes some separation from pathways to the divine?
Sure.
Blockages, yeah.
Years and years ago, because I'm a veteran here, years and years ago, we used to say there's only 2 emotions, love and fear.
Love and
Love
fear.
being
Yeah.
divine, fear being ego, human. And then any other feeling under that, I call it like a derivative of fear, a derivative of love, right?
Mhm,
Compassion can be a derivative of love,
mhm,
and anger can be a derivative of fear. So it's really only fear and love. That's the separation, and it's pushing through those fears to
mhm,
tap into that divine love because that love is already in you. It is not absent from you. It is in you. It's just locked up.
yeah. Fear limits, love expands, right? Love is
You
unlimited. Yeah, there's an ample supply of it.
and there is and there's more divine love, not just human love. I mean divine love where there's a true love for humanity and even now with all that we're going through, a true love of self. All right?
Mhm,
That to me that is the answer. And taking care of your human body, your temple.
mhm.
Okay? You
Yes.
have to take care of your temple. If your temple has disease in it, maybe that's the catalyst. If your temple is very overweight, then you're blocked. We need to break through all of these blockages, these catalysts to get to the divine love within us.
Mhm. Beautiful, beautiful. Um, now, before we depart, I just wanted your thoughts as we're heading into the new year, which I
Mhm.
do believe is a 1 year numerologically. We ended from the 9 year. going from the year of the snake shedding its skin to the year of the horse, a year that I was born in, metal horse, 1990. W Horse, I think, corresponds to that Gemini energy, in the Chinese zodiac. But for you, what are you picking up on? I know you mentioned this heart, mind radiance, and this embodiment. I know sometimes in the age of Aquarius, people could fall in love with information, but there could be a bit of a dichotomy with what's in the head and disconnected from the heart. For you, what are you picking up on energetically,
Mhm.
as we're transitioning into this one year that people are gonna be facing? Because I know obviously, you're a unicorn, you have this, healing capabilities, but also very much intuitive. I'm just kinda curious for you, if there's anything that you're picking up on that is pivotal to kinda share, to viewers who are tuning in.
Oh, sure. Sure, I'd be happy to. Yes, we are in a 9 year, and we are closing out many old cycles in our life. Okay, cycles of behavioral patterns, mental patterns, emotional patterns. It's closing out for people who have done enough work. All right, people who haven't done any work, it's probably just going to be another year. But for those of us who have really been working hard, we're really closing out some of the old suffering patterns, the struggle patterns, whether it's in love, whether it's in health, whether it's in career, whether it's in prosperity. We're closing those cycles out. So make sure this holiday season you recognize I'm closing out a cycle of lack mentality, of not earning enough money. I'm closing out a cycle of not having the love that I want in my life and the love toward myself. I'm closing out the patterns, the cycles. This is very important because 2026, January 1st, the new year offers us new cycles, higher cycles.
Mhm,
Sometimes to, like, pay our debts, it's like we're in this cycle for a long time and we say, "Oh my god, like, how long is this cycle gonna last? I'm so tired of this."
mhm,
Again, it's divine timing, it's a cycle. It's got to clear itself out. It's got to end, okay, in its own timing. And we now have the opportunity to become a new you.
mhm,
Spirit tells me, and I do have an online class December 29th from
mhm,
7 to 9 p.m., 7 to 8:30, and Spirit is telling me to call it is the reinventing of self. It is the reclamation of soul, reclamation of divine self. And that
mhm,
I'm getting chills as I'm speaking. So that is what the new year is offering us. And it is about the becoming. Who am I? Who am I? Right? Not just Pauline and Jacob. Who am I at my soul level? And what am I destined to do in this new cycle? Some things might be the same, some things might get expanded, but it's more about the becoming of self. It is the reclamation of divine self.
mhm. Yeah, that sounds like a beautiful, event, in class that you're holding, and hopefully we could also include that in some of the show descriptions as well. But yeah, I think it's a beautiful concept to know that there is a you, beyond the body, beyond the emotions, beyond the job. And you certainly are someone who's lived that, where you're able to, as Shirley MacLaine kinda did, you got the fruit on the tree by going out on a limb, in the '90s, and, we're so fortunate now because you've helped out so many people, including, me, a week ago, and
That was
so
my
wonderful.
you oh, you're
Uh
you're easy. You're easy, Jacob. You're easy. You're so there. Sometimes we just need a little layer scraped off, but, you know
Thank you.
yeah, you're there. Years ago, one of the things that helped me, this imagery, and this is sort of older concepts that, from the very beginning that we learned. If you were standing on the edge of a cliff and you were guided to step off that cliff, how well do you trust there would be a presence a magic carpet, a presence
Mhm.
to catch you, that you'd actually not be stepping into an empty abyss and falling down the cliff, that you'd actually be stepping into something else, something new that is solid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and people like yourself and like me who have had these spiritually transformative experience, and for myself, near-death experience, we know we may not be certain what's around the corner, but we are sure as heaven to know that this road doesn't end. There's always a soft landing spot at this endless journey. So I love that, Brad. But it seems like a lot of people need a lot more trust. Trust people trust their anxiety, but they don't trust something beyond that. You know?
Oh, so beautifully said. I love how you said that. I agree. I love that. There is always something around the corner. Always. Always. The only way there isn't if you just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
But
Life
sometimes even
continues.
then it comes. There's always a plan. There's always something else.
Mhm. Yeah, it's eternal. It goes on and on and on, no matter what happens, and even physical death, as near-death experiencers exemplify, that is a fiction. Death of the body is true, but death of the soul can never transpire. Um, so,
Yeah.
but Pauline, what my second question, my last question for you before we depart. One of my last questions is, what would you say is the number one energy message that's coming to you before we close this message? Any parting final words for viewers, as they're tuning into the new year? It seems like a lot of it is, kind of like the snake shedding off skin, going into the year of the horse, the year of the one, new beginnings. But if there's something coming to you that we didn't discuss at this time, or you feel we're pretty good with what was discussed.
Okay. So I think the final message would be for everyone, set your intention to become the higher you in the new year. Just set your intention for that. I set my intention for this reclamation of my higher self, my higher wisdom, the higher me. I don't need to know how it's going to happen. I don't need to know exactly what I need to do, but universe, show me how. I set my intention for that outcome. Just just start there and
Mhm,
know that you can become anyone you want to be. You can become more
mhm,
loving. You can become less fearful. You can become more prosperous. You can become healthier. It is all there waiting for you.
mhm. Yeah. We all have the creative, intentional force because we are all, seeds of the divine. We all have that element to us. So,
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
Mhm,
That is. And love yourself. The key to all of this is learning to love yourself in light
mhm.
and shadow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what would be the best way for people to, touch base with Pauline Raphaela?
Yep, you can, the best way is probably to sign into my website, paulineraphaela.com, send me a
Mhm.
message, from there, and, t take advantage of some of the free content on my website, some of the meditations and other things that are there, and I apologize, not everything I have is uploaded there yet, but eventually it will be, but there's free content on there for the people who are a part of my community. And everyone is welcome to join the online community. And you just send me an email and say, I'd like to be on your online community email listing, and you will receive the invites.
Love it. Please do check out her website, her upcoming events as well. Get in touch with her. She is profound and sacred and special. And do check out the Little Blue Room as well. That will be included in the show notes. It's available, as you said, on Amazon. And it's a book that's really changed lives. And so glad you got that out there because I've heard from a lot of people that it takes them on an immersive journey, and it's very moving, and it really touches the deepest parts of souls within the readers who grace the book. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I'm told, and so that makes me happy.
Pauline Raphaela, do check it out. Please come back whenever you can. And thank you so much for helping us ascend here on the Wisdom of Jacob's Ladder.
Jacob, thank you so much for having me. I adore you. Happy to be with you anytime.
Well, that was a wonderful conversation. I know Pauline was really able to shed light on shedding the old and stepping into the new, as well as the power of surrender, particularly as many big feelings are occurring these times within the holiday times and the new year. So I hope this conversation really was able to touch your hearts and minds and could help you to elevate the lives that you're living. I wish you all a wonderful upcoming holiday season and new year. Thank you so much for continuing to join us and to be a part of a growing community. And please, I do encourage you to share this conversation, write your comments, share your thoughts, and you just never know where this conversation and who it's shared to and how it will impact, someone else's life. So thank you for helping out a growing community. And my hope is this conversation helped to allow your heart to expand and to grow and to ascend. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you here on the next conversation on the Wisdom Jacob's Ladder.